there. He heads towards the 18, and then he hits a laser to the back post. Look at that steer right over there by Ethan. So let's kind of play it back here. Ethan, what are your thoughts first off when a player is turning and heading inside like this?
Well, so there's a couple different things they have to consider when a player's in this position. Obviously, so in this situation, you can look at the back line. You see that at the time we were playing a 3-back system. So the things you have to be aware of, obviously, there's the direct threat of the shot from the player with the ball. We also have to be considerate of any other runs or anything that might be happening. So here I'm about the 6, so that if he tries to slide a ball in behind, then I can come out and deal with that and manage that space as well. But as he gets closer to the box, it's clear that the threat is going to be that shot from the edge of the box. So it's about getting back and getting set to be able to deal with whatever comes my way.
I love that. So then the player now starts dribbling in right here. And I notice one of the things, and Susky, I'm sure you see this as well too, there's very little movement from you because the angle hasn't really changed much. And I think a lot of young goalkeepers, they start moving too much. And now you're ready for the shot, and it's a simple steer. Boom.
Yeah, for sure. That was a big thing. Sorry, Saskia. That was a big thing that we had worked on before as well. As when I first came into the academy system, I was very jumpy, very kind of like movement. There was lots of like going on with my hands and my legs. So that was something that we worked on for a good few years of just kind of settling everything down and making it more still, because any extra movement when you're a goalkeeper loses you time. So if I'm bouncing up and down or if I'm not there, then I'm losing time by the time the shots actually come in my way to be able to get that step off and be able to push and make it looked like a comfortable save when it could have not been.
Right. And like, this is what we talk about, Mike. It's just those micro movements. It's just those small, first of all, let's talk about your distance off your line as well. You're not too deep. So I love that you're like, 2 yards off your line. So that closes the angle as well. So you don't need to adjust that much. It's just those little micro movements. So what looks like a big step across the top of the 18, atop of the D, where some goalkeepers, if you're deeper, would have to make a major adjustment. You don't. You're like, okay, I step over and I still have the angle covered. And you make it, and obviously let's fit with the finished product. It's a great steering the ball outside the 18 towards the sideline. So yeah. Because don't get me started. I got in a fight with Brandy Chastain the other day on text, and it was we'll bring it up after this. So.
but to your point, Saskia, unfortunately, I've got a bigger frame, so I can be a little bit more aggressive in where I am positioned in order to cover off more of the goal and still not lose. On some goalkeepers may need that time, that being a little bit deeper buys them to be able to make the same save. But I'm fortunate that I can use my size and my frame to be able to play a bit more aggressively.
No, it's true. Like Mike, no offense, but you might have to be a little deeper in this situation because you're.
I would have to be a little. I would because I need the time to get across.
And because of your height. So because if this falls higher and it dips over you, then you're going to get caught. So you're 100% right, Ethan. Like it depends on who you are.
And I think also one of the things, Ethan, is it's like I see a lot of young goalkeepers who like right here, because there's chase on the ball right there, they're too far over on their near post because they think, oh, well, that's covered right there until the player gets lost because they think, oh, there's no way this guy's not going to get separation. Then he hits the shot, and now they really have to push off to go.
Yeah, but let's look at where the shots coming from 30 yards, like 25 yards, maybe 30, like 25. Like, and if you look at where he's dribbling from, your starting position's actually at the top of your 6. So if he looks up, that near post is gone for him. He doesn't have it. If you're deeper, then right here, he probably has. Look, now, Mike, again, you would have to be deeper because he could look up and clip you.
Yes.
So.
Very good point.
No offense, Mike.
To an extent as well, you can kind of read off of what's happening with your defenders as well. I mean, in this position, I didn't think that my defender was close enough to the ball to be able to make that big of an impact on my position. Sometimes if a defender's shutting it down more, then not that you should cheat, but you can anticipate a little bit more and understand where realistically shots are going to be coming in from.
Absolutely.
Great point. Now, a question for you, Ethan. Do you prefer your defender giving a little bit of space in this situation, or do you prefer them going in tight on that player right there?
It's tough to say. It changes situation to situation. Some teams have better people who can, that's a comfortable shot for them and they're happy to take that. unfortunately, as goalkeepers, we can only deal with what's in front of us. We don't really get to pick and choose that to that extent.
Yeah.
I wish we did, because it'd make our jobs 1,000 times easier. But it's more just about adapting to what comes at you.
Yeah, you know, Mike, as much as we'd like to say that we can control our defenders, it's just a philosophy. Like, hey, set ball. Like, by the time they're doing what they want to do sometimes. So.
Oh my gosh. All right, now we got Saskia's favorite team, Manchester United versus Chelsea, right here.
Okay, no offense. Now you're my favorite team.
Okay, yeah. Now she's all blue. Just gonna find
blue,
some blue shirts in the back now.
Blue's my favorite color. It's my signature color. Go ahead.
Okay, so in the 47th minute, this is a weird play because the ball kind of pops up, and it kind of floats over this defender right here, and then Amad Diallo kind of picks it up, turns his body, and kind of lets the ball do the work as he kind of steps into it. Ethan's got the near post nice and covered right here, and then the shot is hit with too much pace for you to really do anything other than kind of get your body behind that ball. If you'd gone down with your hands, I think that's kind of going through you. First off, what are you thinking right here? Because this is kind of where you have to always kind of be ready for anything.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, hopefully, in 9 times out of 10, the defender clears in that situation, and then the whole picture changes. But with this, it's a mistake, so we have to kind of adjust off of that. Once he's kind of in and it's clear that he's got an opportunity on goal, it's about trying to make sure I'm in the right position to be able to pull off a save. So from there, I'm just doing my best to block off as much of the goal. I'm trying to stay a bit more upright so that if it does flash high, I can use my hands, and then if it comes low, I can use my feet. But it's really just about being still, set, and being ready to face whatever's kind of coming my way.
Yeah, I think you have the far post covered too. So
I'd like to think so.
I think it looks that way.
Well, with that long frame, and he's got a defender on the outside as well too, who can cover any ball that slipped. See, if a ball slipped right there, he can just clear that ball. So
But I like what you said about staying a little higher, because we see a lot of times that ball getting roofed, you know, and beating the goalkeeper by pace in the upper near post, and by staying higher, you shut that option down.
Well, it's about distances, isn't it? I mean, from here, he's probably about 8 yards out. So I back myself enough to say, I can stay upright and I'm quick enough to react. If he's 2-3 yards, then maybe I need to be lower just to be able to react to that. But in this situation, I think it allows me to have more options to make a save than if I were lower.
Yeah.
There's a question here in the comments section here, and I think it was maybe referring to, it's from Volney Brown. He goes, if you got a surprise shot, how would you handle that strike? And I think he was referring to right here, if the guy hits it from here as opposed to
But go forward. Hold on, go a little bit, and you're set.
Yeah.
So look Volney, look at Ethan's position, and he is actually set for this. So if he strikes it first time, you're set.
Yeah.
Well, and further than that as well, if you could go back a little bit.
Yeah.
With the position of his body, his back is facing towards the goal. So biomechanically, for him to be able to lever around, you would be able to tell by the positioning of his body that he's lining up for a shot before it actually comes in. So from here, the chances of him likely getting a shot off of that are really slim. So it mentally allows me a little bit more time to be able to get into my set position.
Yeah, I love what you just said right there, because now I'm looking here. If he tries to hit this, it's going to take some contortioning on his part. It'd
have to be a miraculous strike to.
Hey.
Hey. How you guys doing?
Good. Can't hear you, Mike.
I am muted.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. Do we have Charlie? Let's see if we got Charlie.
I was just texting with him. There he is.
There he is.
Let me put my daughter on. Just say hi, Haley.
Hey, Haley.
Hey, Haley. Oh my gosh.
She's tech support, she said.
I could use her here.
All good. We're all good.
Are you in New Hampshire right now, Bo?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. We have no power at our house. We had about 18 inches the other day. So we're going on day 3. So yeah, we're taking the family up to Boston right after this.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, where Saskia lives, it's a good solid 62 degrees. So it's just really chilly there right now.
That's right. Must be nice.
Oh my gosh. All right.
It's a nice background, Saskia. You doing a Christmas special or?
I am. You like that? Christmas in California.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we'll get this going. Here we go. Happy holidays and welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California. With me in a winter wonderland in Woodland Hills, California. 99 World.
You have to do what you have to do. It is a winter wonderland.
I love it. You got the fire going because it's under 60 degrees in Southern California.
Right.
That's how we do it there.
No snow. Sorry, guys, no snow. But yeah, I miss the East Coast. I miss this time of year, so I have to make it as close to that as possible.
Speaking of the East Coast, we have some East Coasters with us right now. We have legendary coaches and currently scouting with U.S. Soccer, Charlie Inverso and Bo Oshoniyi, dealing with probably 18 inches of snow, I think, Bo, you said?
I did. Yes, we are. Yeah, we're digging ourselves out.
Charlie, what about you guys in Jersey?
No snow. No snow. We're waiting for it. Love to have a white Christmas, but nothing yet.
Oh my God.
Watch what you wish for.
That's right.
I think Bo's like, you can have like 10 of the 18 that I got.
Saskia, I'm going to make you miss the East Coast even more when I show you my Dunkin' Donuts up here.
I have a Dunkin' Donuts down the street in Woodland Hills.
Oh, you do? All right.
I do. There's like 2 in all of Southern California, and one happens to be in my town.
That's actually why Saskia moved from Beverly
exactly.
Hills.
I was like, and there's
Hills.
a Dunkin'. Yeah, there's a Dunkin' Donuts.
There's like 5 within a mile radius of my house.
All right. If that was a Wawa cup, now you'd really be making. I know. Now you'd really be making the Wawa.
Wawa's taking over the state.
Okay. Bo, you're in New Hampshire right now.
He knows what Wawa is.
Oh, I do. I know what Wawa is.
Oh, you do? Okay. You have to explain it to me because I've had a lot of, let's just say, New York elite snobs who've gone down to Southern Jersey, Northern Pennsylvania, and they're like, "Oh, it's just a gas station hoagie."
Technically, it is. Technically, it's like if you go to one of the gas stations here and it's a gas station / 7-Eleven, but it's even better.
It's better than a 7-Eleven.
It's even better.
Yeah, that's not a great description right there, Saskia, to make me want to get it. Like, it's like a 7-Eleven sandwich. It's pretty solid. Yeah.
No, but 10 times better.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. Well, kind of before we get into today's topic, guys, and we're going to be talking about U.S. soccer and scouting and goalkeepers and all that sort of thing. Charlie, first off, congratulations on a very solid career. Obviously at Ryder, you just finished up. Why don't you kind of catch people up with kind of what's going on with you now?
I just retired November 2nd. It's actually not formally until the end of March, and did a little color analyst, women's Division II NCAA soccer, which was a lot of fun, and been scouting for U.S. soccer, and kind of want to just increase the amount of time that I spend doing that. But I still want to stay in coaching. Just haven't, just going to take a little time to figure out what the next step is.
Well, I heard the next step was you doing stand-up comedy. That's what I heard the next step was.
I'm going to write jokes for you. I'm telling you, that's one of my bucket list goals for the year, is to write jokes for you.
Oh my gosh. Now, for people who are not familiar with you, Bo, why don't you catch them up a little bit on what yourself, because I don't think a lot of people know, not just obviously a Division I men's coach, but you've also, played at the highest level. Yeah. You've been involved with U.S. soccer for quite a while.
Yeah, no, I've, we're fortunate enough to play, for quite a while, bounced around Major League Soccer a little bit, won the MLS Cup in 2000 with Kansas City, and then transitioned, out of, playing into college coaching. I've kind of bounced around a little bit with that. I started off at USF, and then was at Wake Forest for a bit, went to a Final Four with them, and then Penn State. And then I got a head job at East Tennessee State in Johnson City, Tennessee. And now I'm in my fifth season here fourth season, fifth year, at Dartmouth College in the Ivy League. So it's been awesome. And then obviously worked a lot with U17 national teams, under 20s, U18s, and things like that with U.S. Soccer. And then has been scouting, for U.S. Soccer since the inception of the developmental academy, now MLS Next, and things. So I've been around for a little while.
And he also had the misfortune of working with me at a Federation license course.
That's right.
Hey, Mike, could I add to he's like one of the most liked and respected guys in our game, and extremely modest. Bo and I did a session in Baltimore at the National Convention in I think it was 2019. You walk around the convention with Bo. It's like you're with Frank Sinatra. Everybody knows.
I'll pay you later, Charlie.
and some high-powered people that just stop. Everywhere you go.
You think it's like that with Bo? It's like that with Suskia as well too. When we were at convention last year in Kansas City, I would just be walking around, and all of a sudden I just hear Susk. You just turn around, and people are like, "Oh my god!"
I know.
It was hilarious, and then like all of a sudden it's just JP Dellacamera, and you're like, "I know for you that's weird, but for me, I've known him forever."
I know.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Now, Susk, a quick question for you. Do you do your taxes on time?
What kind of a question is that?
We want to make sure that you've got your taxes done by April 15th, because Bo and Charlie have a nice announcement that they'd like to share with you.
Well,
Yes.
Okay, so I have a tax guy, and Everardo makes sure I get them done.
Whether you do it by TurboTax or whatever, April 15th is the Mercer County Soccer Hall of Fame, and we are extending an invitation to invite you for induction into what we feel is a really prestigious Hall of Fame in your own hometown. And you have a little bit of time to tell us if you'll accept.
Absolutely. I will be there.
Congratulations.
And just for the people who are watching and may not know, Mercer County is one of the prime soccer counties in America. And we've had a long history of soccer excellence. And we're proud to say that our Hall of Fame has 3 National Hall of Fame members in it. In honor of our late and great friend Mooch Marnick, I'm wearing a Mooch soccer shirt. Mooch is one of our members. Bobby Smith, who played with the Cosmos in the heydays of NASL, and the great Manfred Chelscheid are all members, along with a ton of other people. We reviewed our notes last year, and we went over our candidates, and the question came up was, why haven't we inducted Saskia?
Actually, we saw each other, and you looked at me, and you're like, "What?"
Well, and the answer from one of the members on the committee was, because we're idiots. That's why. We haven't figured it out. But,
I'm absolutely honored, and 100% will be there.
It's a great event. It's really warm and intimate with everyone who will know you, and you'll know most of the people in the room. So we're honored, and wanted to try to break the news in front of your constituency here.
I love it. I love that Mike already knew. So.
I've known for a while, and my worry was that you were going to send a text like 5 minutes before the podcast and be like, "Hey, got a lot of stuff going on because of the holidays right now.
No, I'm
do you
good.
mind?
I wouldn't miss this one."
So I
am honored. Thank you.
Awesome.
And it was a funny conversation last year. So
Yeah.
And
I'm
we,
like,
we
I don't
also
know.
we also wanted to wait and do this podcast when after the kids were out of school so that everybody could hear this announcement. So it wasn't,
Thank you.
you know, I know a lot of people can't watch the show live because obviously, you know, you got school to go to, a lot of you young players out there. But hey, it's holiday break right now, so everyone can watch the show live, and we appreciate all you guys that watch it not when it's not live as well too. But Saskia, obviously, I mean, what a tremendous honor. I mean, my gosh, just this little, you know, 25-mile radius. My gosh, the amount of soccer talent.
Oh my God.
This little
It's
radius,
ridiculous.
it's unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
I was privileged to grow up there around the coaches. I think we were so ahead of the curve back then. And when I say back then, kids, it's back then. But you know, we were on the forefront of elite soccer and elite coaches, and I had goalkeeper coaches before people had goalkeeper coaches, and so, you know, I had the career I had because I grew up in Mercer County. Period.
I mean, basically the way Charlie broke it down to me was like during that time period, like if Mercer County competed in international Mercer County, if Mercer County
Thank you.
competed in international competition, they would probably rank. Like that's how deep the talent was in that area.
Yeah.
It's true.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Thanks,
speaking
you guys.
we're excited for you, and I can't wait to see the whole shebang, the whole presentation, everything like that. That's really, really cool. Is there a crest for Mercer County?
When I get off this, I'll call my parents. They'll be stoked.
I bet.
For
Great.
sure.
Yeah. Great.
Oh
Mike,
my
if
gosh.
this goes well, you might be asked to be in.
Oh, jeez.
This keeps going so well.
I
might
tell you,
induct you and Bo.
You can
Both
use
of
my
you.
parents. You can use my parents' mailing address. You
That's
just say.
well, I did run a New Jersey ODP weekend clinic once. And they didn't have any shirts in my size, so they gave me an XL, and I was swimming in the thing, and all the kids were looking at me like they're like who is that guy? There's the guy with the weird long, basically night robe that he's wearing out there. He's giving us instruction. All right, let's move into this right here. Oh, by the way, here's a comment coming here from Craig Shotkus. Okay, he says, great to see this. So I'm assuming that Craig is referring to Saskia's induction. So all the accolades are going to start coming in. This is awesome. Let's get
at Mercer County Community College.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Unbelievable.
Great guy.
Man.
Great guy.
My brother went to Mercer County Community College first. Sorry, Damon, he went to Mercer County Community College. So did my dad, actually. My dad went to Mercer County Community College. My brother went for 2 semesters.
Wow.
All in the family, Mike. All in the family.
Well, guys, if you want to get scouted to go to Mercer County Community College, let's find out how that happens. Today's topic is going to be identification and scouting. That's one of the reasons why we had Bo and Charlie on. First off, Bo, why don't you talk a little bit about the scouting process with U.S. Soccer, because you've been involved with it. And I think a lot of people out there have a misrepresentation thinking that scouting and identification is the same thing. Like they're like, oh, my kid's being seen by somebody. They're going to select him this week or her this week.
Right. No, I think there's a good point, and I think, the way, we look at it, pretty much at, U.S. Soccer, it's, yes, we definitely scout, a lot of players, throughout, a year. I don't know, Charlie, you tell me if I'm wrong, but, there's probably close to, 300 to 400 goalkeepers alone, that, we may scout that have been brought to our attention from different clubs, and things like that. But the identification process is something completely, different. When we start, talking about, the identification process, we're looking more at, key qualities, in a player. We're looking at, game understanding, a growth mindset, technical execution, physical execution, a learning ability, all these things, kind of, go through, the identification process. And I think when we're, trying to identify players. It's not that we're only going to watch them one time and say yes or no. It's more watching them multiple times, watching them in their own training environments, watching them, with their club teams, and hopefully eventually watching them, at the youth national team level, where we can see, where they kind of, stack up in areas that, they can, continue to improve, and things like that. So, yes, the scouting part is one thing. The identification process is, a whole nother process that goes into it. Charlie, I don't know if you want to speak more on that.
Well, yeah. I mean, so first off, I mean, it's it used to be where people would make the claim like, oh, he didn't get a fair shot, or he didn't get. I mean, the scouts are everywhere, so it's not only MLS Next, it's ID2, it's ECNL, it is ODP. And then there's 6 international scouts based mainly throughout Europe and Mexico. So there's a wide net. And so our chances of getting players is so much greater now. And the other thing is even myself and Bo and a lot of the scouts, a lot of times there was a long stretch since its inception in 2007 where we would say, like, are we getting anything out of this? And finally, after about 15 years, it's starting to bear fruit, because 19 of the 26 players on our U.S. roster for the World Cup had come through the process.
That's right.
And so now it is starting to bear fruit. We have to give credit to Tony Laporte, because he's been a trooper.
For sure. 17
years on the job, and people tell him all the time that most people would have burnt out after about a year and a half. He's been on it for 17 years. He is really thorough and really efficient with this. He's got a great network of scouts, and he has a database, a mind that's incredible. Tony could see a player 4 months ago and remember all of his qualities, and so the process is working. I was just out in Palm Springs with the MLS Next scouting. And it was
nice
impressive.
place to go. Nice place to go, Charlie, for
awesome.
scouting. They're like, yeah, we'll send you to Palm Springs in the wintertime.
Look, Mike's acting core because his family has a house there. So it's true.
No, it was great. If I had a takeaway from anything, I was talking with you and Bo today, that I still think in our coaching that we still need to make more developmental points as opposed to tactical points at halftime and as the match goes on.
Yeah.
So
I like what you're saying right there, and actually that kind of goes into one of the questions right here, because Sean Walker here put this in the comments right here, and Saskia, you can add on to this one if you want. And he goes, "Hello everyone. I currently play GK on the second team for UPSL team Cesena FC USA. What are some main things that you look for in a keeper?" So let's start with Susk.
One, presence. Two, how do you kind of command your area and communicate with your team in today's modern goalkeeping? Like, is your team comfortable playing through you? Are you comfortable with that? And it's not, I think goalkeepers fall into that mentality that we're looking for the person that's making that big save in the upper 90, and we're really not. We're looking for the person that is keeping everything simple. Your positioning's proper so that you don't have to make the big save, and just making it as easy on yourself and your team as possible, and the consistency in that.
That's right.
It's the consistency. It's you can, scouts can come watch you and you can have a blinder, make a couple upper 90 saves, but if you're making simple mistakes, that's what's going to stand out, because what are you doing 90% of the game, depending on the team you're on, is the simple things. And so if you're making simple mistakes, that's where it's going to stand out to me, not the upper 90 save.
Yeah. Bo, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say to Sakshia's point, I think the consistency is, something that I look for, especially when you watch these kids, multiple times. You want to see, just a consistent, level. And if you're, like you said, Saskia, if you're making big saves or pulling balls out of the top 90, but you're dropping crosses, consistently, then that's, some red flags and things like that. So I think, as youth players, continue to develop, and try to be scouted. I think just having that consistent base, and then we know what we're getting, and we know areas that you have to improve on, which every goalkeeper, no matter what, always, improving in things.
Yeah, and I think you have to look at what we look at is why are you pulling that save out of the upper 90? Is it because your positioning is off? Is it because you're not communicating for pressure to be put on the ball consistently? So you see it as players out there see it as, but I did this, but we're saying, but why did you have to do that? Mm-hmm. And are you consistently having to do that because you're not doing the right things before it? So.
Yeah. And I love what you just pointed out right there, Saskia, in regards to like why, because, Charlie, I think, and you and Bo were obviously just at MLS Next Showcase. How many young players, when they see that beach chair, on the sideline, they go, oh, now I got to show them that I have the quality to play at the next level. They do. And actually, they're actually doing themselves harm.
Yeah. The college scouting and scouting for U.S. soccer is two separate entities.
Absolutely.
But to answer Sean's question is, at a certain age, yes, we are looking for that, that performance to be consistent, as Saskia had alluded to. At the younger age, we're kind of looking for someone that's going to fit the physical profile. So, Mike, you and I had talked earlier in that now the trend is for a male goalkeeper, 6'2", maybe the minimum. The big emphasis is the long arms. Okay, so we saw it with Noppert, and we saw 7'3" wingspan.
That's right.
True.
And I actually took a couple of the keepers aside because I was curious about their wingspan and wanted to get that, because that's your true height. To be honest with you, as a goalkeeper, wingspan is your true height. With the younger keepers, we're looking to see a growth projection, and we could talk about that a little bit later because it's mainly the eye test. But then again, something that Saskia had alluded to was what I saw as maybe one of the biggest weaknesses was the leadership / communication aspect. And we've been using Matt Turner as maybe the profile for the American goalkeeper now. And one thing that I've always noticed about him was the players want to play for him. He just seems like he's a guy that, and it's clear by the amount of, or the few amount of shots that get levied against him, that the defenders are playing against him. But Mike, what I saw out there was that the goalkeepers really didn't know what to say.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
So we're trying to say that the communication needs to be clear, short 1 or 2 word phrases, and it's got to be timely and fast.
Yeah.
And that I just noticed that the closer the ball got to the goal, that the communication diminished.
That's right.
So everybody was good when the ball was cleared. Everybody was good. When the ball's being played out back. But the closer the ball got to the goal, that there wasn't as good communication. It wasn't as concise.
And I feel that like with the younger players, they hear the word communication, so they just start babbling. And you're just talking nonsense, and eventually you're going to be tuned out. When you do have something important to say, nobody's going to know the difference. And so younger goalkeepers have to understand that they're sound bites. And a timely fashion is exactly the point. Right. And you should organize early. And so then when the ball is in, and I always say this, Mike, there is a point that, you should have organized your back post. You should have put pressure on the ball, and now they're shooting. So pay attention, like you see the young goalkeeper still organizing with their hands sticking out and the ball's in the back of the net. And you're like, well, I'm glad you were still organizing, but go pick the ball up. But but there is a difference. And I like that you said that. You want to see younger players. Are they coachable? You're going to, if they fit the mold, they're going to be over 6'2" and all of that, but can you develop them? Because at age, are they coachable? Are you going to listen? Because that's what we're here to do. Coaches is to help fix things and help highlight your strengths and fix your weaknesses. At the elite level, it's going to be different. It's consistency and everything like that. You better already be there.
That's
in
right.
A sense.
So, well, you shouldn't be there at all.
And Bo, speaking of that, in regards to the communication thing, I was just making me think about, like, back in the day when I used to go to showcases, and if I saw a goalkeeper that was ball watching and they were following the ball, their communication was based on the fact that they're following the ball rather than setting up their team for the counter, so it wasn't their fault. Because then I see a lot of coaches go like, hey, you're just doing play-by-play. You're just doing play-by-play. Why are they doing play-by-play? Is it because they're not seeing the field the way they should be seeing the field? Are they just following the action? Because then now that goes back to something a little bit more foundational. Because you can just tell somebody, stop play-by-play, stop play-by-play, tell your defenders what to do. But if you don't teach them how to scan, they're never going to be able to do it.
I think that's a big point. I think, a lot of coaches forget that piece of it. And let's be honest, at the youth level, very few teams have quote unquote goalkeeper coaches. Mm-hmm. So now the head coach is the one that's going to be giving those goalkeepers the information that they need. And it's like you said, it's not so much play by play. It's, can you organize your team in a way that your team is going to be set up so that you don't have to make
exactly.
And that's where I think, especially at the youth level, at the younger levels, that's missed, quite a bit.
Mike, I had a couple of points. I had to write them down because, I'm retired now. And so, my memory is going a little bit. What I think is important is the scanning is important. But I like to tell the keepers when it gets in the last third that you've got to watch the ball, especially if you're not picking up the flight of the ball. So I've always said to rely on your opposite side defenders to organize because they really have the best view of what's going on. So we've got to have those. Secondly, what Saskia said about babbling, I don't know what happened here. Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah.
Okay. You're good.
Yeah. I can't see, but what Sas said about babbling was, I think just to get the young goalkeepers to start talking, it's not a bad idea just to get them to, I guess you'd use the word babble, but just to get them out of the state of being shy. I think we need to give the goalkeepers almost a glossary of terms to say.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
That are consistent with how you coach, that are short and concise.
But that's also for their team.
That's right.
Exactly. And thank you, Saskia, because I think that's a problem.
It's also for their defenders.
I've seen this before, and I've seen coaches come up to a goalkeeper, a 10 or 11-year-old goalkeeper, and they say, here's the terms that you use with your team. But you don't tell your team that.
That's right.
So they don't know what the heck they're saying.
That even means. That's right.
Yeah, they're like, step high. Your team has no idea what that means because you never explained to your team, hey, when the goalkeeper says step high, this is what they want you to do.
Right.
And Mike, the last point I wrote down was your tone of voice, because we've all seen the keepers that are just frantic. And they make the defense nervous. And again,
that's right.
I think the great goalkeepers are guys that almost like the linemen want to protect their quarterback. Hey, the defenders want to protect their goalkeeper if they're bought in to playing in front of them.
You're so spot on. Yeah. So spot on, because you have that level of anxiety that if you have a goalkeeper like that every command they're giving is at that same intense level of anxiety and frantic and everything. There's no differentiation. It's like if there's something that needs to be done and there's inflection in your voice and it needs to be done, there has to be different levels of that. But when you're just organizing and you can do it in a casual but not casual way, but a way that, doesn't freak your defenders out, they're going to respond better to that. And they'll respond when something's is intense because they'll get the triggers of, I really got to get on this ball, or I have to go to, it has to, you can't have the crazy frantic keeper yelling.
And by the way, there's a question in the comment section I think is really pertinent. And please guys, when you put your comments in the comment section, we appreciate it. Please tell us where you're watching the show from, because it'll give us a little bit of context.
Well, I love John because apparently he's watching it from a bathroom and took a snapshot with the urinals in the background.
Bo,
Did you just see that?
Great.
Bo, I'm gonna throw. Yeah, guys, be careful with your profile pictures.
That's right.
Where you take them. But I'm gonna throw this to Bo. He goes out. Where do you think is the best place to start as a goalkeeper and work your way up?
That's a great question. I think, depending on your environment, and what's, accessible to you, I think just finding, a club that values, goalkeepers, and that are going to have people that are going to help you along the way so that you can, continue to, develop and grow. I think, Charlie and I were talking about this, a little bit earlier. And, I think, especially at the 12 to 13-year-old, level, I think, finding kids that may not typically be soccer players is not a bad thing. Finding kids that fit the profile, whether that's athleticism, whether that's, a presence, to Shaskia's point. And then can we start to, develop those goalkeepers to be actual competent goalkeepers one day, because I think right now we kind of look at it as if a kid at 12, 13 years old doesn't have the technical ability, doesn't understand the position, we kind of write them off sometimes. And I think sometimes a lot of these kids can be spotted earlier on and then start to develop them. So I don't know if there's a real, starting. I didn't start playing goalkeeper until I was 16. I was a field player, up until that point. So, but somebody grabbed me and said, hey, why don't you try the goal, because you can't run really, so why don't you hop in goal and see how you do there? And then as time went on, I started to gravitate towards, that position and really started to, try to develop and, have that growth, mindset in it. So I don't know if there's a certain starting point, but I just think, finding ways to find kids that may not typically be, goalkeepers, goalkeepers right away, but we can start to, try to develop them a little bit.
And I know Saskia's got something that she wants to add on to this because she no, well, I mean, you had a similar thing. I mean, you were a lacrosse player and you were identified to be a goalkeeper, right?
Well, no, I was the same. I played soccer first, but I was a multi-sport athlete.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
And I, so it was just being athletic. I was doing everything. I was a swimmer, lacrosse player, and everything. But that helped me, and it also helped balance me out in the sense like back then you weren't playing soccer.
That's right.
And that's it. All year round. Right. You weren't doing that. Like you were playing multi-sports. High school sports was big. Yeah. So there wasn't the choice of whether I'm playing high school or not. Like, nowadays, like kids don't play high school soccer because they just play club and they don't play any other sports. And I think that just heightened my athleticism. It also, I didn't burn out because of it.
Right.
And so I think that helped me a lot.
That's actually a really good point that you just brought up right there, Susk, because it's making me kind of think about this, Bo. Like, I think there's a lot of concern out there, and I see it, and I see these top drawer soccer, and I'm not pointing top drawer soccer out specifically, but I see these rankings of the 2011s and all this stuff, and you're like, man, just relax here. Like, does U.S. Soccer take that into consideration when they start, mentioning, hey, we've got scouts out here and all that, and how that's going to be taken by parents, youth coaches, all of that?
For sure. Yeah, no, I definitely think, they take that, into consideration. And I think, especially at the younger ages, we tell them like, this is just the start, of the process. I was just at a youth, an ID center in Boston with 09s, and we were trying to explain to them, like, this is literally the first step in the whole process. And you may, after this camp, you may not get called back into a camp for 2 years, but then again, eventually, you'll get called back in. So just understand that it's it's an honor, but this is just the starting process of how U.S. Soccer looks to start identifying people. And we also know that a lot of kids develop at different times. Somebody that's very, very good at an 09 may not be when 2 years from then, but then a kid that may have been called into one camp but just wasn't there just yet, in 2 years he may be the main guy when you're starting to talk about the the U16s and U17s going into the World Cup cycle and things like that. So
and a lot of that also has to do with the growth of your body at that age as well. You have a kid that's doing great, he's maybe a big kid and stuff like that, but when your body changes and grows, like your development as a goalkeeper has to change. Now you can't handle certain things the same way you did when you were shorter, like, and everything like that. So are you getting the right coaching to change with the development of your growth and your body as well? So there's a lot that goes into that. You know, just because you're good at as an 09, you know, you can't do the same things when you're a senior in high school.
That's right.
You know.
I thought Charlie just got called to do a private session because he just disappeared. I was like, man, it's like somebody just called and he's like, look, man, he's like we're at the field right now, and you're like, oh, I forgot I had a 2 o'clock.
I don't know what I just got knocked out, but and I don't know what I missed, but I'm glad that we picked up on this, because what we talked about out in California was now it's incumbent upon the clubs to more or less go out and recruit goalkeepers. And so we're looking at the profile of good athletes, because we can say whatever we want, but in the end, if a player is going to rise to the international level, they have to be athletic. I mean, it's just the way it is. And so now it's incumbent upon, and I'm hoping this becomes a trend. I hope there's a bunch of club coaches out there.
Charlie, really quickly, just on that, like, do you think that's why Matt Turner, despite the fact he started so late, was able to shoot up his progression?
You also have to remember that he was an elite athlete. I mean, he wanted to be a pro baseball player,
right?
Yeah,
and everything, you know. So he is an elite athlete in sense he could do multiple sports at a high level. So I'm just saying,
but we have a surplus of athletes out there that fit. I mean, an incredible surplus of athletes. And I was telling Bo that at my wife's high school, they played Tim Howard's high school, and I thought Timmy played basketball.
That's right.
But believe it or not, he wasn't the most athletic guy on the court. So the surplus of athletes, and if we're talking about, you know, kind of like the rise in prominence of more African-American goalkeepers. So if we look at our top 4 goalkeepers in our U.S. men's national poll, 2 of the 4 African-American. I mean, these are all areas that we need to start looking to, because we could be the #1 producer of goalkeepers.
But we have always said that has been a stigma in soccer in America, that we have always said, had we not lost the elite athletes to football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever, to other sports, okay, if you took those elite athletes that we know of and their only goal growing up was to play soccer, you would be the best team in the world. We would be the best team in the world.
Yeah,
because
I have
we
a question.
have such a plethora of amazing athletes, but we have so many professional sports that they aspire to. Now they're starting to aspire to play soccer.
That's
and
right.
I think or football. So just a joke.
Before we get to DJ's question, I actually want to ask Bo about this, because obviously, you know, I think that this is something that has been a very huge sticking point with U.S. soccer, and both Charlie and Bo and Saskia, you guys have known this, is that there's a lot of underrepresented communities that were not identified in U.S. soccer for so long. And I'm not just talking about the African American community. I'm talking about the Latin American community as well too. And we're starting to see the rise of, you know, kids like Antonio Carrera, you know, who's 18 years old, signed as a homegrown at 17 for FC Dallas, and now, you know, in that national pool radar right now, that are starting to get identified. Is that because U.S. soccer is doing a better job of looking in the non-MLS Next environments, the more the local leagues, those sorts of things, or is it because those kids are gravitating into those leagues?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's, yes, those kids are gravitating into those leagues, but I think it just goes to the scouting system, you know, where now a lot of these clubs aren't trying to keep these kids. They're trying to promote these kids into the FC, you know, and then now, like, because the scouting system has gone so deep, it is getting kids off of men's leagues teams, you know, that would never have been identified before, would have fallen through the cracks, where now somebody's seeing those kids, and instead of that club or that team holding on to them, they're like, no, let's get this kid, you know, to where he can get the exposure, you know, that he needs, and the growth, you know, because yes, he can continue to grow in that men's league, but he needs to be in an intense environment so that now he can start to really, really grow as a player. And I think that's why you're seeing so many different, you know, minority groups breaking into not even just the full national team, but even the youth national teams, you know, as well.
I mean, and we have to give a nod coming from where we came from, you guys. Like, you have to give a nod to social media and the outreach and stuff like that. Now we can see people. Like, gone are the days that you mailed your like newspaper clippings and everything, and you didn't have video.
Everything was regional.
It was regional, so it was word.
It's different.
It was word of mouth, and so you didn't have like, let's take the college system. You didn't have a coach from. You never had a coach from UCLA flying out to New Jersey. It was all regional. Like, so now they don't have to. Now, like, you get the videos, you get everything. So now you're seeing that kid that you never would have known about or seen before. And now you can send people there. So that's changed the landscape of this as well.
It's a great point.
Like I wanted to add, I'm sorry, I wanted to add just a couple of things is that now when we talk, so many times we talk about how we judge ourselves as a soccer nation and how we rank ourselves as a soccer nation. And, it's always just based on our international results at the World Cup. But I think we have to also include as a major criteria, how many players we're putting in top 100 clubs across the world, throughout the world. And we're doing a much better job with that. And we have to give Klinsmann credit for that because he was the one who pushed a lot of kids. So, it's not all just based on, sorry, it's not all based on World Cup results. It's based on how many players we have at elite clubs. And then the other thing is, I think at the grassroots level, we really need to educate the parents that if your son goes from rec soccer to the local club travel team, and now he gets picked up by an MLS next, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And I can't even imagine the amount of kids that had been stifled because the coach or the parents didn't want them to leave their cozy little environment and win another.
That's how it was when I was playing.
That's right.
And that's how it was in Mercer County when I was playing. It was, no, you're not. They didn't want us playing ODP. They just want us sticking to our club and all that stuff. Love it, because obviously, like I said, I got to where I got, but I was stifled. And then finally I said, well, I'm going to do this. I didn't do ODP until I was 16. And all of a sudden, like, it was like a shotgun. And the next thing I know, it was like on the under 20, the first under 20 national team. Yes, that's how old I am.
And that's where U.S. Soccer has to have something on the website, because I'm told that U.S. Hockey and U.S. Tennis Association does a great job in educating the parents on the elevation and progress of their players. And so I can't even imagine how many players have been held back because they got talked into just staying with their own little, travel club in their part of the state.
Yeah, Bo, you've worked at various different national team levels, and obviously Charlie, you have as well too. But Bo, I know you have recently. And DJ right here says that my son has an ID session with U.S. Youth National Team. Are keepers chosen from their club games videos or what the session needs are and travel logistics?
It's a little travel, but more importantly, it's more on the club's recommendation. That's where they get that pool of, players. Your club coach has been notified from, the youth national teams, from Tony Lepore and, various other guys. And they now are put into a pool that will be brought into, an ID center. If your club coach doesn't, now some club coaches may not identify you as one of those players, but just through the networking system and things like that, youth national coaches know about you, and then they'll invite you, to those, sessions. But typically it's, on recommendations, from club coaches.
But Mike, if they're identified, and if they get to an ID session, and even if they're identified for a scout to go out and watch them, they get evaluated and put in a database. And there's a ton of information on that. And kids may have 5 or 6 different evaluations, and that's how it's processed. So it's not random anymore.
No.
It's amazing how it's changed.
Is. Yeah,
so
even when we were scouting games, like, we categorize kids, in somebody that may be ready for, a youth national team camp, somebody that might be ready for an ID center. And then, like, to Charlie's point, there's a whole book, on those players prior to, them, being identified in things.
You know, it's funny because we had Ethan Wadey from Chelsea on last week, who was with the youth national team pool as well too, and he brought up a really good point in regards to the fact that one of the things that helped him get to Chelsea into their youth academy was the fact that when he was in North Carolina, is that for his development, they put him with the second team so that he would be forced to make decisions and forced to make actions because the first team was so good that he wasn't being challenged. And because of that, he wasn't developing the skills he needed to get to that next level. Siska, I know this is something that you've always talked about with a lot of young players who go like, oh, I need to play for this club, because they're the number one in the state, and then I'll get seen. But as a goalkeeper, that means that you're standing there. Especially
yeah, I mean, even for us, like when I was at UCLA, you know, you're going to an ECNL tournament or something, and you have goalkeepers that are playing that you want to evaluate, and they're playing for the best team, and you didn't see them save a shot, you know. And so I tell a lot of parents because they ask, and I'm like, well, you know, I didn't see the ball get near them, so go to an ID camp. Like go to an ID camp so a goalkeeper coach can train you, and actually people can come and see you in a training environment, a small-sided game environment, like into an 11v11, and really be able to assess a goalkeeper. It's a lot harder to assess a goalkeeper in just a club game, depending on who their team is, than it is with the whole experience. Like I need to see more. And to really get an understanding of seeing that consistency and so on and so forth. So that's, I've told you that forever.
And I, this is kind of adding on to like what Matt Phillips is saying right here. And I think this is a question that I get asked a lot by a lot of parents, especially on the Union. And if you're not on the Union app, guys, check it out. We'll send you guys the link. It's going to be here later in the show notes and everything like that. But there's a lot of people out there who are in areas, Charlie, that don't necessarily have high quality goalkeeper training or high quality clubs in the area. And they are kind of like at a loss. They're like, well, how does my kid get seen? How does my kid blah, blah, blah? Do I have to drive 6 hours to blah, blah, blah? And do you have any advice for those types of parents?
I mean, Matt, probably the ODP program, that might make me the most logistical answer. In that if you're not around, I mean, if he's not with like say ECNL or MLS next, but keep in mind that we do scout from ODP and ID2 as well. So probably ODP would be probably the best solution for your situation. I just want to hit on a point that I don't know what was Sask or whatever it was with the goalkeeper playing with kind of like a lesser team. That's always been Bill Irwin's. We know the great Bill Irwin, Cardiff City and University. It was Casey Keller's goalkeeper coach.
That's right.
And Billy always says you put your best goalkeeper with the second team so they get action. And then as we were talking about not being able to see the goalkeeper that's with a great team, I think when we're going to scout, that's why it's really important to get this. I could tell almost everything I need to know in the warm up if the warm up is a good one.
Yep.
But it's so hard to get to the warm up because if you're at a showcase and your field is 20 fields away, and if you're walking with Bo,
you need a golf cart.
You stop and talk to everyone along the way, and it's really hard. But I mean, all your answers can come from the warm up, or a lot of your answers can come from the warm up.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell players when they would send in their clips or ask clips to send them in to UCLA, I'd be like, can you send some training video? Like not just like a couple game footage, which is always from like a mile away, but can you send some I need to see like how the footwork is, how their balance is, how their positioning is. And so add training video into that. Please, like sessions with a goalkeeper coach. So, and not just the perfect stuff, like repetition. So you can see again, that consistency and see, what they need work on and everything. And so I think that's important. It comes down to that warm up. You could see, like you said, Charlie, you could see so much from the warm up.
Yeah. And I want to move on to these actions because we're going to do something fun today. We're going to have two high-level scouts and Saskia, who's also a professional. No, but you're also a professional color commentator. Break down from a scouting standpoint some real young up and comers like Casey Murphy, you know. And we're going to see. We're going to see from a scouting standpoint what these people would see if they saw this player at a showcase and what they would be doing. But before that, I really want to get to Sean's question right here, because this is one that comes up so much when it comes to scouting and identification. And everyone's got a different answer for this, but he goes, my son is 5, currently playing in a fundamental program. He's taken to soccer really well and has been playing with the 7 to 8 year olds. Do you think it would be okay to play with a local club team? Now, Sean, just real quickly, are you talking about as a goalkeeper, or are you talking about as just a general soccer player? Because there's a big difference in that. Thoughts
Well,
on
I mean, like I think Charlie hit the nail on the head. Anytime that you can move up and play at a higher level, Like if the local club team is a higher, better level, then do it.
Yeah.
And just always challenge yourself, whether you're a field player or a goalkeeper. Like, challenge yourself. If you're being accepted at a higher level, at a more intense training and stuff, and that's the route you want to go, then go that route. He's 5. So,
Right.
so I'm like, let's take that into consideration too. I mean, he might like not want to play soccer next week. So
that's right.
So, but you always want to push yourself.
Sure.
Do I think like he's 5? Okay, guys.
Yeah.
5. Okay.
You got time.
And the last thing, and guys, we really appreciate all the questions. Guys, you could be doing this right now on the Union in engaging in the engagement forum. We do this literally every day. There's over 2,000 active goalkeeper coaches and players and parents doing that right now. So we're not trying to do this like, it's free. We're literally not making any money from it. Just go on there, because we can't answer all these questions in an hour. We just can't. So we really appreciate it. Keep commenting, keep engaging in there. We'll be engaging too. But last one here from Andreas. And he says, I would like to see more 5'11" and 6-foot keepers in the mix, like John Bush, Ramondo, Robles, etc. It seems as if we are always defaulting to 6'2" and taller. I know this is a slippery slope. So I think there's a big difference between, again, national team and college recruiting when it comes to this.
That's right. And I think it goes back to Charlie's, just the profile when you're talking about the international level at the highest level. The profile is, 6'2" is the minimum, really, or at least having a long wingspan, so that you're, bigger, the smaller, the days of myself and John Bush and Nick Ramondo, at least at an international level, I think are really, really tough. I do think there's a place for, goalkeepers in the college level, and even at the youth national team level, I think, in some ways. But I think when you're talking about the elite of the elite, I just think there has to be, there's a profile now. I mean, you saw the guys coming on the field, for France yesterday. Those guys were mammoth, and
right, and that's what you have taken consideration.
The
field players are getting bigger too. So it's like if you're 5'11" going up against somebody that's 6'4" and he's a field player, and you don't have the arm, you don't have the wingspan, you're in trouble. Like,
you're in trouble. You're
in trouble.
You're in trouble.
I think the key is the wingspan. The key is the wingspan, and I love those 3 goalkeepers that he listed. They certainly made a great career, and they had to work harder at it.
That's right.
Honestly, so I would say we're not trying to weed those guys out. Maybe at the highest level, if we got a guy who's 5'11", but his wingspan is 6'9", I mean, then we're talking, because that's really your true height.
Then it's knuckles. I
don't know how many sloths are playing soccer. Like,
I mean, my wingspan I know is taller than my height, so I do know that. But I mean, that's a big one.
I'm just picturing those animals that can wrap their arms around the trees. Like, that's like
5'11", 6'9".
Oh my gosh. All right, let's go into some of these clips right here, because I think this will be a lot of fun right here. So first off, let's see if I can add this.
I was just trying to be optimistic.
I know.
To the stream right here. So first guy I want to bring up, there's been a lot of talk about this guy, especially on the men's side, as in, he played in the Champions League, and why isn't he playing on the men's national team, and yada yada. And again, a great goalkeeper. This is Josh Cohen, over at Maccabi Haifa. This is in the 84th minute. Ball is at the edge of the 18. It's a square ball across to the top of the center. Josh recognizes, great drop step, nice clip touch, and away from there. Despite the obstructed view, he's composed. He gets down low and makes that save. So let's say you saw this at a showcase, Bo. What's the first thing that you saw?
Just can you play it again?
Yeah. Here.
I thought his positioning is good. You know what I really liked? I really like his, kind of like training step. It wasn't like a big hop, but it was just kind of getting set, just right when he, saw the player centrally take his touch. And now when he takes his next touch, he kind of gets his starting position. He's not deep on his line where he's given a lot of the goal to shoot at. He's kind of, in a really, really good, aggressive, stance, but not too high where he can get chipped because there's not really a lot of pressure on the ball. But I just like how he got his feet set and then looked to, make that movement towards the ball. And I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah, I like his start. I like his positioning too, because one, I agree everything that you said, Bo, but I think that what he does by not dropping too deep is he takes away that slotted ball.
That's right.
And so now that's not on. As much as it looks like it's on, if he puts that ball in between the defender and number 11, he can come and get that.
Yep.
And so that takes away. If he's deeper, that ball's on. And now that ball can be slotted. If he's too high, he's going to get tucked over the top. So I think his positioning, and that's I'm sitting here looking at the players in front of him. That's what I'm seeing. I was like, he covers two things at once.
That's right.
And that's really good.
Yeah, no, I love that because I didn't even recognize that, but you're right. He prevented an action.
Big bucks, Mike.
That's why you get paid the big bucks. He prevents that action,
That's right.
and then he's ready for the final action as well too. Charlie, anything you want to add?
I saw a lot of good things. Does my mouse show up on the screen?
Yeah. Charlie's great.
Okay. If you freeze it right here, look at his stop. If you freeze it right here, I like his starting point. And I tell goalkeepers all the time, this guy has no chance of chipping him right now. And he's got a really bold starting point. And what Sask was saying was, this ball gets played through, he's cutting it off. Okay.
But
so that's one. And we tell the goalkeepers all the time, if that guy's head is down and he's under pressure, it may seem a little unnerving to you. He's got no chance of chipping you at all. So take a higher starting point. And then as the ball is played, he just glides. I like this. Like you can play it, Mike. Like but this
is the one I'm talking about with the slotted ball. His position here has taken that slotted ball to 11 out. Right. In my opinion.
And even if he does play him, he's going to be in a great spot. If he can't come and get it, if he doesn't feel like he can come, he's still going to be in a great spot for that 11 to really have a tough angle to, try to beat him.
Yeah.
But he glides to this position, and then his set position is really good. Listen, that's the big difference in whether you make the save or not. It's having your feet set, and I think we need to do more with training keepers, the timing of their set position coming from lateral movements and forward movements.
Wide. Yeah, because a lot of times their keepers their stance is so wide that they can't even get a push, to make that save. And I agree with you, Charlie. I think his starting position, his set position, was excellent. Yeah.
And I think this goes back to what we talked about before, is what we're looking for. We're looking at all these other things before the save is even made. So whenever somebody's out there assessing you, it's not, oh, he made a great save. Why did he make that save? That's what we're looking at.
That's right.
And so if you're hearing that out there, listen, we didn't even talk about the save he made.
No.
Right. Great point.
To be honest with you, the final action, if all of this comes into play, should be at this level. He should be able to make that save.
That's right.
I'm not saying it's an easy save.
Shot. Yeah, it's going to make it.
But he's made it a lot easier for himself. If he's too deep here, it becomes now he has to do some lateral movement to get to the ball.
How tall is he, Mike? What's his height?
So he's about 6'1".
Okay. Not that matters anything, but that's a really bold starting point. But look how much of the goal he's taken away by staying up high. I mean, I've seen keepers that are 6'4" that are way deeper than him.
Deeper than that.
I really, really like his starting point here is his angle play, how high he is.
And that's
Well, you also
presence. That's what I mean by that. Player looks up and they see the keeper.
That's right.
They see the keeper. If you're not being seen when somebody's taking a shot and they see the net, then there's a problem. Like, that's the presence I'm talking about. Like, are you a formidable opponent when they look at their like, I just see orange right now.
Right.
You know?
I think to your point, Sas, I think when we say presence, it doesn't mean you have to be 6'4". You know what I mean?
No.
You can be 5'11" and have an awesome presence. When we talked about those three goalkeepers before, Nick Raimondo, John Bush, they had an incredible presence. They weren't big keepers. So I think that's something that people sometimes lose. They feel like, oh, presence means I have to be 6'3", 6'4". No. It's your starting position. It's the presence, like you said, when a field player is about to shoot, what do they see,
Yeah. Speaking of what you see, when you see a world-class player like Sam Kerr coming at you, we're going to go into the women's. We're going to go into the women's game right here, and we're going to go with another goalkeeper that's kind of been on the cusp of the national team radar as well, kind of on the fringe here. And the reason I'm kind of bringing them up before we start showing like a Casey Murphy is because I think a lot of people out there need to understand that the depth in the men and the women's game here on the national team level is so high with goalkeepers right now that Josh Cohen is a very good goalkeeper. It is really hard to make the senior men's national team. Bella Bixby is a very good goalkeeper. It is very hard to make the women's national team as a goalkeeper.
Sure.
So I want to show this right here. This is Bella Bixby. It's the 15th minute against Chelsea. Ball is laid off to Sam Kerr at the edge of the 18. Then a one-time back to Sophie Ingle, who hits it through traffic. Now it's a cut kind of back inside. Despite obstructed view, Bella's position is solid. She makes the initial save and holds on to it right there. World class, in my opinion, all this movement. So many different little actions that took place here, in my opinion. Maybe we'll start with Susk. What do you see here first?
I see that Sam Kerr just shot it. Is what I see. To be honest with you, I think Bella's off her line, and I think she's at the top of her six. And Sam doesn't have like Charlie had said, she doesn't have direct pressure on her. And I think that with a player like Sam Kerr, that I would have expected her probably to put this over the top of her. That being said, I like the fact that she realized her position. Okay, so we can get down to, do I think she was a little out of position on that? Yes. So did she try to follow one mistake by another, which I hate, and try to back up and then reposition herself? No, she said, here I am. This is where I am. So now how am I going to play this through ball from the position I'm in? And she does that. And so instead of like trying to read, she maintains her position, and now she's locked onto the ball. She's doing micro movements to come up with the save. I think originally she's out of position.
It's a great point. Yeah,
Got it.
No, I'd have to agree. I think, and what I'd like to just piggyback on that is just that she stayed committed to it. You know what I mean? Like she's completely out of position. But okay, now this is the consequence. Ball drops here. I'm staying committed. I'm not dropping back to my line now to give that player more of a goal to shoot at. I'm staying committed, and then now you're gonna have to beat me. And then, like you said, those little micro movements with her feet were excellent. And then she's able to hold it, which I think is a great hold. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the fact right here that because of her positioning, she made this comfortable enough that she was able to hold on to that ball.
Yep.
Yeah,
hold the ball.
I know.
But she wasn't. But because of her movement, because she didn't overshift or she wasn't behind the play. Because if she was, she probably either would have steered it or she would have gone past the ball. She is just enough that even though it's an obstructed view, she still can see enough of the ball that she can hold on to that ball clean and not have to steer that. Which could have been a mess if she tried to steer that if she didn't put it in a good area.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Charlie, anything you want to add?
I'm not sure. The player with the ball would have chipped her, because it seems like she's on a full dribble. Which
but that's Sam Kerr.
Okay.
And that's the best. It's the best player in the world. I absolutely think she could have taken that shot.
Okay. And then the other thing is that she's in a great position. When you're looking at it, doesn't take a genius to see that she's got great footwork. She's in a great position to make the play. I would just kind of add something on. I don't know whether any of you picked up on it yesterday in Argentina's second goal. Lloris was, I don't know, he's probably like right here, at a good starting point. When he noticed that the play was behind space, he retreated really fast and really deep. And I thought when the ball was played through, he had a chance to close down Di Maria. I'm just wondering if he didn't retreat so far. Could he have really been out and
I
just
agree
really?
with that. I agree.
Sorry?
And I shouted, I looked at that again and I said, he could have gotten to that ball.
That's right.
And I absolutely believe that second goal. I said that to Shannon, who was looked at me like I had two heads because she's not a soccer player. And I'm like, he's too deep. He didn't get the right jump. He didn't have the right positioning, because had he, I believe that would have been a 50-50 smother.
That's right.
Or he would have made that save.
That's
I
right.
totally
Or Di Maria would have taken a touch.
Totally agree with you.
Yep.
Well, if you remember, Di Maria had to put a little lift on the ball to get it over. But and I learned this from our colleague Eric Yamamoto, who was saying that Yamamoto, as the ball is coming, stop retreating at a certain point, because now your momentum's going back, and then also you're further away from the play, and it takes a lot of practice and it takes a lot of courage, because it's an unnatural movement. But I thought, and who am I to criticize?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think if you asked him, he would say, number one, should he have gone down? No, I think maybe you should have stood him up. We see that in all goalkeepers. You've made a commitment to come and go hands to the ball and go down. And you have to remember you're being baited by an attacker at that level, and they're waiting for you to commit and make the play. I think he was late. And I think that had he not retreated so deep, I think he would have gotten there. You are 100% right, Charlie. So.
And Saska, I've seen you enough for you guys' podcast, and this has come up. I do think that our keepers, especially the young ones, are going to the stand up and the block safe too soon, that they could be stealing more space and maybe make that slide save. I think it's kind of gone away. It's kind of been a trend that's gone away. I think
Charlie, such a great point right there, because I even wanted to just bring up, obviously everybody saw the save Martinez made, at the end of overtime yesterday for Argentina against France. If he had dropped a split second earlier, that's in the net. That's underneath him in the net.
First of all, he would have been further away. And had he done that, his timing on that is what made that save. And we talk about, and his distance from the player is what made that save. And I agree with you. We talk about it all the time. Kids do it too early. Their timing is off. Their distance is off, and it's in the back of the net.
And we need to teach them how to steal space. And I always say, if the ball's traveling far, move fast, because you need to get out there.
That's when you move.
That's when you move. That's right.
I didn't want to scare you. Oh, sorry. That's when you move. Sorry, Shannon, just scared the shit out of me. So that's when you move. You move when the ball is traveling in no man's land, 15 yards.
That's right.
And then you arrive at the right point that when the ball gets to the player. You don't move late.
And they need to see tons of repetitions of this, and they need to also make mistakes. Yeah. They need to see tons of repetitions with a lot of pressure, with no pressure, all different varieties, so that they learn which balls they can get and when to time their set position.
Yeah, they can find their range. No, for sure.
Absolutely. I want to bring this up right now because, Saskia, you brought up a really good point in regards to Sam Kerr, in regards to, and Charlie was bringing up, when you shoot. This is where she's not going to be actually on the dribble, and I want to show Bella, amazing goalkeeper, picture completely different of what the scenario happens right here. Casey Murphy, another world-class goalkeeper right here.
Jersey!
It's Sam Kerr again, right here, turns, faces, not that really, probably about a third outside the D. She unleashes a high ball, and Casey follows this entire time towards the near post. It's obstructed view, simple shift across, safe tip over. Again, to the naked eye, they're like, why did she tip that ball over? But she was obstructed. Is that Rose Lavelle right there? Somebody obstructed view, and then she plays that ball over right over there.
And this is this is great positioning. Okay. And Casey's what, 6'1", 6'2"? How tall is Casey? 6'1"?
Yeah.
And so had she been, let's say, where Bella was,
She's beat.
this ball's in the back of the net.
Yeah, beat.
And Casey's taller than Bella. So Sam Kerr is so far outside the D, there's no reason to be on top of your 6 right here. Okay. And you'll have to look at the body language. There's no pressure on the ball. She's facing up. She's going to take the shot. And like Charlie said, if you were out of position on this and now you're backing up, you're making a debacle of the whole situation. She's already gotten herself set and in position to deal with whatever she has to deal with.
Yeah. And then I love, so when this ball is hit right here, and again, you're talking about, Charlie, you were talking about wingspan. The fact that Casey has that wingspan allows her, because this ball's moving.
Yeah.
And she doesn't see it till here, probably. And therefore, she's able to get that paw up quickly and get it across right there. And that's also understanding how your body moves and what your qualities are too. And I think that's something a lot of young goalkeepers need to recognize when we're talking about identification and scouting. You can tell when a goalkeeper knows what type of goalkeeper they are, and when they don't know, and they're trying to be something that a coach has told them they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Mike, can you just back it up a little bit and just move to the frame where she's just shooting?
Okay.
Just a couple of things that I thought of. Right. Hold on.
Here.
Keep one more. Right now. Okay. So one thing, Manny Shellshot always says that the player with their head up is the most dangerous player on the field. Okay. So we know that there's a big difference between head up, head down, pressure to the ball, and not pressure. Secondly, as silly as it may sound, I think a lot of goalkeepers, as you're saying, don't really pick up the ball until it's here, halfway towards them. And now we've got to be telling the goalkeepers, like, pick up the ball from the time it leaves the kicker's foot. Just visually, it just helps you get an extra step on what's going. Just like they tell an outfielder, you got to pick up the ball as soon as it leaves the hitter's bat. I think this is really important to just visually pick up the ball as early as possible. I think I learned that from Saskia's mentor, Tony DeChico. He would say something along that line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your eyes or something. And then if I can make a plug here, you saw my daughter Haley before. Her boyfriend went to the same high school as Casey Murphy. So she sent me a little note. She went to Alex's high school.
Casey's awesome. So Mike, back up a little bit, because now we're talking about if we're watching this from like a, recruiting perspective and everything. So now my question is, I'm wondering what communication is here. Okay. So who is it play? Stop. So who is this on the lower bottom of the screen, the outside for US? I can't tell who that is. I
can't tell either. I have to change the number right there.
I get that we get stripped, but where are you going?
Yeah, I was thinking that.
We don't have nobody has control of the ball, right?
That's right.
So they're still the attacking dude. She's out of position. So my question to Casey would be like, were you seeing that as well? Hey, I don't know who it is. Hold, weak side, watch that space in there, because now with the number one player in the world sitting in the center by herself. So that would be a question I would have, like, what was your vision of the field? Did you see that, you were exposed on this side of the field, hold your defender, tuck in? I mean, this is another level conversation.
Of course.
But that's what you're asking.
But that,
of course,
especially at this level, right? I mean, you would hope, that was the communication that may have been going on, or should be going on. At least.
And I want everyone to understand right here, when we're doing this here, if you're new to the show, we are nitpicking. This is the highest of the highest levels, the highest of the highest levels, here. So we want everyone to take everything with a grain of salt in regards to if your U9, is in this situation and you start, battering them because of it, just understand, that we're talking about at the elite of the elite levels,
Right, but we're also talking about what we look for.
That's right.
Exactly.
Again, we haven't even talked about the physical save.
No.
It's the right hand. Well, I wouldn't say it's the right hand. I'm just like, keep the ball out of the net. But again, it comes down to what we said. What are we looking for? We're looking at all these other things that lead into the save.
Yep.
And you know, the thing is that I do you guys have time for one more clip, Susk, Bo, Charlie? Do you
Yeah,
have
I got
time
one
for
more.
clip?
Yeah, I got one
Okay.
more that I got to
Okay,
run.
one more
retired.
We're good.
Okay. So we're gonna do one more. Then there's Sam. She's disappointed by it. Okay. So I want to point this out right here because I wanted to do a set piece as well too. And this is a young man that we had him on the show recently. Great young up and coming goalkeeper. This is Antonio Carrera from FC Dallas right here. And I think this is in the 6th minute. I think it's a ball between 2 defenders inside the near post. He takes a high position. So the ball's lifted over. See, now, do you consider this a high position and for those of you guys who are listening right now, we're talking about like a couple feet off his line for this free kick, or do you consider this an average position for somebody his height? He's about 6'4".
I think he's too deep.
You think he's too deep?
I think he could be
6'4".
Yeah.
Then
I
I
think
think
I think
he could steal a little more space.
Yeah, he could be a bit higher.
Yeah.
How about there?
Not a lot, but he could be a
No,
bit.
a step. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay. So the ball's lifted over towards the near post, over the wall, and it's a shift across. Boom. I want everyone to see this right here because we're talking about what you see at Showcase, what you see when you're looking from a scouting standpoint. First off, probably the first thing before you even see the plays, you probably recognize the presence, the size, the frame. And now, again, you're talking about the wingspan. Look at the coverage that this type of player can go. And you go, okay, I see how at the national team level, at the international level, this could be something.
Yeah, but here's what we're saying. I think we all agree it could be higher. He doesn't look 6'4" to me.
No.
I think he has made himself look small in the
Okay.
goal. I think that if he is a step higher, then that's a quick shuffle step, and he maybe even holds that ball and stays on his feet.
Yeah.
And you see the big goalkeepers at that height with the right position go boom, and it's not thick. This is one of those saves. It's like, did you have to make that difficult on yourself? And now it's a corner kick, by the way.
Yeah.
So
We are nitpicking.
Yeah.
We are nitpicking. But
Yeah, if your high school keeper does that save, trust me, you'll be okay with it.
Yeah, we're pretty happy.
Those are great points, Mike. I think a couple of things I wanted to bring up is I started doing this with our goalkeepers this year. I don't think we train the set piece enough where we put the mannequins up and we take our best free kick, our 2 best. You'll never have a lack of volunteers for this exercise.
That's right.
You're gonna have the whole team signing up, but you get them out early and you set the mannequins up and you just give them practice in this. And here's the other one where I think that we need to practice. The free kick where the arrow is on my mouse. Can we move back or up a little bit?
Yeah.
If you can move it up just a little bit. Where I'm pointing right now. You know that free kick that comes right in this space from the corner of the 18 where we set maybe like a 2-man wall.
Yep.
So I started setting guys, putting players to flight balls into this space. And then I started sending a guy to make like a near post run. And there was a play in the game yesterday that Martinez had to deal with. Remember that ball that almost skipped past him into the goal?
Yes.
That was nasty.
That was nasty.
And Stu Holden made a good point. Being a non-goalkeeper is a very astute point. The ball came from this side, and he says, as a keeper, you got to wait to see where that's going. That ball almost skipped past him and went in. But for me, these are all situational plays. Like I think goalkeeper training should be whatever percentage, but a high percentage of situational plays.
I don't think teams do corners enough. Anything.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, we don't, right? I mean,
they don't. They're like, it's like the day before
That's right.
game.
You do
Okay,
it
let's practice our corners.
That's right.
And it's like it's like it's like NFL practice without your pads on. It's like not intense. It's not high. Like it's not Raylan Turner and the whole UCLA soccer team like running into the goal and taking everybody with them.
Yeah.
But you need to train them that way,
and
we don't do it.
I totally. Guys, I don't need to, I have to run. I have to.
No. We're going to wrap up right now here. Bo, if you need to take off, take off. If anyone wants to connect with you, Bo, I'm sure they're going to have a lot of questions.
Anytime. I appreciate you guys doing this. We don't talk enough about goalkeeping, and I'm just glad that, I could be a small part of it.
Bo, great seeing you.
You're welcome anytime, man.
I'll see you guys at the convention.
For sure.
Enjoy the game tonight, Bo.
Yeah, thanks.
Go in the Celtics game.
Oh, he's going to the Celtics game. Oh, man, he's lucky.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we will start. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah, there is. It was something.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, man.
Well, I know we're going to wrap it up. Charlie, I am so stoked to be put into the Hall of Fame. And please tell everybody that. And
yeah,
I can't imagine how many, I'm going to need a whole table to myself probably once I tell my parents and everything.
That's good. That's what Sasuke, they pack this place is packed.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see you, and I can't wait to see everybody that helped my career. I can't wait. It's going to be great.
I apologize. It took us so long.
It's okay. It was just a funny.
All you did was win a World Cup. I mean, I don't know what took us so long, but
it's all right. Tell everybody.
Hopefully, you appreciate it more.
Oh, I do. I'm like, you get forgotten. I'm like, hey, I Hall of Fame. Yeah. Cool. I'm psyched. I'm really psyched.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie, we appreciate you coming on, you and Bo coming on and talking about this, because I think it's one thing for coaches to come on and talk about this. It's another thing for people who are involved in the evaluation and the scouting side to come on, because they have a little bit of a different point of view and a different perspective. And I think, as we wrap up here, Saskia, I think a lot of parents need to understand, they keep asking their youth coaches, their club coaches, this question, that question. What's the scout looking for here? What's the scout looking for there? Blah, blah, blah. You have to look at it that they're coming at it from a very different standpoint, because they're biased because they know this player. They're around this player 24/7, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. I just think it's important for parents and coaches out there to know what people are looking for, what we are looking for. And yes, I do think people are biased. Like, oh, have you seen Tommy? Like, he's a great athlete and he says everything in the upper 90 and stuff like that. And now to understand what the breakdown is and how important it is to develop full goalkeepers. And at the end of the day, no save is the greatest save of them all, because you've organized and done everything right.
I like that. I always say you made a save without touching the ball.
Exactly.
If your presence or your organization or whatever. Yeah. No, Mike, we only scratched the surface, and at some point, love to do it again, talking about the things that the scouts really look for and how the coaches can improve their players in training with those situations. So absolutely, I'm retired, so I can come on tomorrow.
Mike, I gotta go too. I'm gonna give you a call in a little bit. Okay.
Sure. Sounds good.
I can't wait to see you on tax day, Charlie.
Yeah, congratulations. We're gonna have a great time.
Thanks,
Mike. Thank you for having me on. This is
great. For sure, Charlie. Yeah. So if people want to connect with you directly, where's the best place for them to connect with you?
So it's C Inverso, and last name is INVERSO at rider.edu. cinverso@rider.edu.
Gotcha. And obviously, guys, if you want to reach out to us, you can go contact at inside18media.com for guest suggestion or topic suggestion, or DM us on the Union at Goalkeeper Podcast. That's the best place to do it. If you're doing it on Instagram, we are mainly on the Union now, checking our DMs there. So I apologize for everybody who's been DMing on the Instagram at the Union Goalkeeping or at Goalkeeper Podcast, but we get so many DMs. We're really trying to focus on people who are in the Union community. If you're not on there, guys, check it out. It's a free community on all platforms. Share your own content, interact. Shout out to all the young players who've been sharing their scouting film on there, looking for feedback. You guys are the ones that we're looking for. We're looking for those types of young players, Charlie, that want to get better, and they're looking for feedback as opposed to look how great I am. Look at my save here. Look at my save there. What can I improve here, or what do you see here that I need to change in my scouting profile, in my college recruiting clips? Because that's what it's all about, guys. It's all about us helping each other in this situation.
Yeah, and I just hope the club coaches get out there and start trying to recruit goalkeepers. You know, they think it's a new frontier that we can move on. Yeah. So
absolutely. Guys, happy holidays. That is all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys.